Hello and welcome to Rubber Chicken with a podcast in the middle, the internet's only podcast exclusively devoted to the Monkey Island series of adventure games. I'm Alistair.
Ahoy, I'm Gordon.
And we're here in the captain's cabin of the Sea Monkey today to talk about the future of Monkey Island.
Kind of smells in here. Much like the future of Monkey Island.
What is the future of Monkey Island? Who knows?
Who knows?
But we're going to wildly speculate about what we think might happen and what we'd do and if anything will happen at all. Does Monkey Island have a future?
Does it have a future? Yeah, and also just like a fun, what would we do?
Yeah,
what would we do? Where do we stand currently with Monkey Island? Like, what's the lay of the land? It's been, 4 years?
Since Return came out. And when was that Sea of Thieves thing? That was the year after, right? So it's been a couple of years since that. And since then, there hasn't really... You'd be surprised if there had been something else.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
It's not as if, we were getting new games regularly since, Escape or something like that. Right. It's always been a big gap. It was kind of surprising that they did that Sea of Thieves thing so soon off the back of Return. So
well, maybe that was a bit of a tester to see how much interest there was in more MI stuff.
Yeah.
What's the longest gap there's been between MIs? Probably between Tales.
It was between Tales and Return, right?
Before that, it would have been between 2 and 3.
It would have been between Escape and Tales, right? It was 9 years, wasn't it, or something like that?
That's true.
And then
but they've always been quite spaced out.
Well, increasingly, as time's gone on,
And that's quite a common thing with anything, albums or sequels to movies and things.
Yeah, and it's not as if Monkey Island's ever been such a huge series in terms of sales and popularity that Lucasfilm would have wanted to, we need more,
Need more Guybrush.
Yeah.
Print more Guybrush shirts. They're in such high demand.
Yeah, I think the closest we ever got to that was Curse and then leading to Escape. And then it's ever since then it's just been, you wait nearly 10 years or something and then someone convinces Lucasfilm to let them make another one.
Do it again. Yeah. Well, I guess that's where we go from there. What in reality, in the cynical reality, in the light of day, what's really going to happen with the future of Monkey Island?
Yeah. Imagine you're a product manager or a portfolio brand manager at Lucasfilm, and you've got Monkey Island, the Monkey Island intellectual property is part of your portfolio that it's somewhere in your job description and you never do anything with it, it's just technically, you're in charge and your boss comes to you and says, it's been this many years and Return sold this many copies and maybe it's time to invest in another one or something. What do you do? What would they do? Yeah.
I really feel like it would take a fan to jumpstart Monkey Island again.
Yeah.
You'd have to have kind of someone of our generation that really wanted to take it on as a passion project, really wanted to breathe life back into it and convince someone at Disney or whoever's in charge to breathe life back into this property. Where do you think they'd go?
Well, I think what you just said is kind of what happened to a degree with a lot of the stuff that they revived after the Disney sale, which admittedly was nearly 15 years ago now, but that was kind of how you got the remasters of the Tim Schafer games and stuff like that, because there was this generation of people now working at Disney who were I remember these games when I was a kid or whatever. Yeah, you probably would need something like that. My kind of view, and I made some notes earlier, is what would I do? It's the first thing I would do, probably, is get Devolver to take care of everything again. Yeah, that would be it's Devolver handled... We don't know how much Lucasfilm actually paid for Return. I have this feeling that Devolver paid for almost all of it, if not all of it, and all that Lucasfilm really did was sign a thing saying, we let you use this intellectual property for this game.
This is just wild speculation.
It's we have no insider information. I'm just kind of imagining what do I think happened, and I think I reckon it's like, well, we've got this established relationship from this previous game with Devolver. It's like, let's just let them take care of it, and we'll obviously monitor the project and stuff.
Yeah.
But they can pay for it. They can handle all of the like contracts and the organizing, project managing it, and all this sort of stuff. Because then it sort of becomes,
we'll take the profits.
Yeah, and it's like we get this certain cut of any sales.
Well, did Return make any money?
See, I get the impression that yes, it made some money. Because from what we know, like there isn't a huge amount of information, but it did sell reasonably well, is the impression that I get. I mean, they were like, oh, it's the fastest selling game in the series or something. That doesn't necessarily mean it sold a huge number of copies or anything like that. But, I mean, I think, it probably sold a bit. But we also don't know how much it cost to make.
No, you and I kind of tried to crunch some sums recently to see who would be paid what, how much, would Ron and Dave have taken on, to spend a couple of years of their lives working on this project. And it was kind of hard to see how they'd make the money back, but, there was nothing to say it was a huge bomb. And the critics liked it, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it did well critically, and I do think there was a fair bit of hype in advance of it. I think, Ron said, the main thing he said was that it cost more to make than Thimbleweed Park did. But Thimbleweed Park, like a bit, I don't know, he didn't say how much more exactly, but obviously Thimbleweed Park, it was like less than $1 million that was made for. So I assume Return to Monkey Island cost over $1 million.
I would have thought so,
who knows how much more.
just with like voice acting. Paying artists and things.
Yeah, paying the team and everything like that. Obviously, as you say, for Ron and Dave and maybe Dave Fox and stuff to have like a salary for a couple of years.
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
What does Dom get out of bed for?
Yeah. And so I'm like, so this was my thing. Obviously, like, if Devolver were handling it, for example, like Lucasfilm's not going to handle it themselves. They don't do that anymore.
I can't see that.
They'll get Lucasfilm Games only.
Oh, you mean in-house?
Yeah, well, like not even in-house. They're not even going to handle the production side of it themselves. They're just going to be like, we want to have oversight and sign off on stuff, you know. And so I'm like, what do you do? What would happen? Ron's not going to do it again, obviously.
I wouldn't have thought so. I think Ron's done. Ron's said a lot of stuff in the past, but I think he's recently come out and said, I'm done with adventure games.
Yeah, and I think he got to make his like next Monkey Island, or he got to come back to Monkey Island and do it again, and I really can't see him coming back and doing another one, especially at this point in his career and everything like that. Yeah. And I get the impression even then it was probably pretty stressful to make in a lot of ways, and there were ludicrous expectations on it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I mean, who knows, but like, then Devolver are gonna do they get some cheap European video game company to make it? Yeah. It's like Monkey Island's like always been really popular in Europe. We've said this like 1 million times. Yeah. There are loads of like small video game companies in Europe that often do get quite big licenses.
Right.
But
do you have an example of one?
The one I'm thinking of is I can't remember what they're called, but who made the like RoboCop game a few years ago. Yeah. And like people say that's like a quote unquote janky game and stuff like that. But it's like, it is kind of like, people say, it's like somewhat faithful to the first movie and stuff like that. And they got Peter Weller back to do the voice and that kind of thing. And I'm kind of imagining something like that. And it would probably all be like fans, and it would be, it would be that kind of thing. And that's kind of my thinking. It would almost be like a fan game made by like over enthusiastic European, small time game developers who are licensed to do it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of ties in with something I'm going to talk about later. But we are getting kind of this slew of stuff. Have you seen like the Halloween game that's coming out? Things like that. We're just kind of it looks pretty cheap. I mean, it looks fun, but it's just these big licenses being taken on, having a bit of life breathed into them in a kind of simple way. So I can see that unless something happens at Disney or Lucasfilm Games or whatever it is where someone goes crazy and tries to start kind of an in-house studio where they do kind of some bespoke kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I can, in that reality, I can see Monkey Island rearing its head.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think it's gonna be outsourced if it even happens again.
Yeah.
It might be, but I reckon it might be a decade away before. I'm not trying to be, rain on everyone's parade. But can we really see another MI game coming in the next? I mean, it's already been 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Can we see one happening in the next 4?
Yeah,
and is there a market for it?
Yeah, and I don't even know like the state of kind of point and click adventure games. It's still like completely these days like an indie thing. The ones that come out are like just passion projects by like tiny teams of people and stuff like that, like the Wadget Eye games and stuff. Yes. Yeah. So as you say, is there a market? Who's going to make it? Like. I don't know. Do we need another one?
do we even want another one?
Will we ever would they ever make another one?
Was everyone's thirst kind of quenched, or was the fire doused by Return? Was that enough for everyone? I feel like the kind of our very small audience is going to want more Monkey Island stuff, and obviously you and I would be interested in playing more Monkey Island adventure games. Even just out of bloody mindedness or
but morbid curiosity.
because we're fans of the series and we're respect it and interested in what you could actually do with it. But creatively, what in real terms, what would they do? Do you think what could you possibly do that would be the next? Not necessarily in a cynical way, but what would be the thing that they would actually try to do to breathe life back into it? And what would be the plot? What would be the ideas about it?
Yeah, and I think it is. I mean, I've got my own idea, but it's one they'd never do. But in terms of like what would actually happen, I do think there is that question of like where do you go with Monkey Island like now? Even putting aside like Return, for example, which was obviously all kind of hanging on this, what is the secret of Monkey Island and stuff like that, and this sort of unresolved questions and Ron coming back and all this kind of thing. Even then, if you put that aside, it's like, what do you do? Like, we kind of talked about this with Curse. It's like the story of Monkey Island is kind of done by the end of Curse, right? Yeah. Like, even though that's not Ron's like vision or whatever, it's like Elaine and Guybrush got married. LeChuck was killed again. Like
happy ending.
Yeah. And then Escape is kind of that continuation where it's like, oh, let's bring LeChuck back and just have some like goofy adventure, where he's going to save all the pirates or whatever.
Very much a direct sequel to Curse.
Yeah. Because so it's like, what do you do? It's like, it feels almost like the pirate thing was almost spent by the end of LeChuck's Revenge.
It was almost done by the end of Secret.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the springboard into the rest of the story.
Yeah.
After he finishes the trials, the whole thing turns left, and then we never talk about being a pirate again.
Yeah. And I feel like I almost feel like if another developer did make a 7th game, it would kind of... I feel like Tales would be the model for it, where it's like, I don't know, LeChuck kidnaps Elaine again, and Guybrush has got to save the Caribbean and save Elaine from LeChuck. I just feel like that's what they would do, because they wouldn't know what else to do.
Yeah, what else is there to do with it? I think we're in this stage with this stuff when these legacy things get brought back.
Yeah.
You and I earlier today were discussing Star Wars.
And we obviously compare to Star Wars all the time in these videos. But
it's just
recordings.
It's just an obvious thing to compare it to. You've done the comeback, and that was 10 years ago or more. What do you do after that? Stage another comeback.
Yeah, it's like how many times can like the Emperor come back to life, or like the Dark Side rises again, or whatever. You
have to remake it again. How many times can LeChuck come back?
Yeah,
kidnap Elaine. And
yeah. And I get that they like Ron and Dave kind of tried to make something of this with Return by being like, well, there just is like a whole series of different stories that are told, and they're like all kind of variations on a theme and stuff like that, and that they're almost like these stock characters that you just kind of move around every so often. And I get that they were trying to make that kind of comment on the games themselves, but it does sort of feel, well, you can't do that again. You can't do some kind of comment on the series or anything again. Like, that's done,
I think in the way Escape tried to kind of be a bit of a satire on other things, if you manage to do that in a clever way, that kind of would be. I think that's, you and I are not the biggest fans of Tales, but it's something I respect Tales for, is that they did just try to do something with it. They did try to do something new.
Yeah, to an extent.
Well, they mixed up the formula. It was like, it's a very long game.
Yeah.
And they tried to kind of come up with a new plot, new ideas,
that's true. They tried to
locales.
add new stuff to the story and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Regardless of how one actually feels about those elements, they did, at least have a go at kind of adding a little bit more. More stuff, basically.
What we're really, I think the conclusion we're coming to is really that we can't see them not repeating the past.
Yeah. I think it would be very hard for them not to just do Guybrush Saves the Caribbean from LeChuck again.
I think it would. it'd be given a new coat of paint.
Yeah,
and I'm not necessarily against that kind of thing. It's like people are critical of Ghostbusters 2 because they say it repeats Ghostbusters 1, but okay, that's okay by me, as long as the actual game is fun and you've got some ideas in there.
It depends what you want from a sequel, right? I mean, like, Monkey Island obviously has these... By now, it has these conventions, like you play as Guybrush and there's Elaine and LeChuck and you explore different islands and solve puzzles and stuff like that. And I guess the question becomes, do you want it to do something different, or does a Monkey Island sequel, is it fine for it just to be another Guybrush adventure? It doesn't need to be something too significant or anything like that.
No,
I don't know.
What it doesn't need to be is inward gazing. I think what people would probably want is another Guybrush.
Yeah, adventure. Another adventure. Yeah, I think people just more Monkey Island.
Yeah,
and I think the majority of people probably don't care like who makes it, as long as they enjoy it and it has the familiar characters and stuff in it. And maybe is a bit of a kind of fan's way of looking at the property, like as if the characters are real and like you're just seeing the next stage in their lives or whatever. But I think that, no pun intended, ship well and truly sailed on that for Monkey Island in like 1997, So we can't exactly kind of criticize sequels on that front, because at least one of the most beloved installments was made by completely different people and did kind of rehash Guybrush Has Another Adventure, and saves Elaine again and stuff like that. Yeah, so I do think that's the most likely thing that would happen.
I don't need it to be made by anyone who was previously involved.
No.
The only thing we would want is Dom back as the voice. And
I mean, that's kind of the thing, is you want Dominic Armato to voice Guybrush. I know...
That's it.
Yeah. Like, Earl Bowen's gone. I think they didn't get... Alexandra Boyd, they didn't... I think they... For the Sea of Thieves thing, apparently they asked her to work for scale or something, and she said no. So they just recast Elaine for that. It's like... No, people only really care about Dominic Armato.
I think so. People other than fans, people don't care who does what behind the scenes.
No.
Also, adventure games are dead. It's going to be it's going to... they're not, obviously. But,
they're not dead.
But they're not in the public eye.
Yeah.
So it's going to be for the fans, really.
And that leads me to one other thing I'd say that I think would be a very strong likelihood of what they would do again: pixel art.
Yeah.
I think they would play it safe, that the art style of Return was too controversial, and Lucasfilm would say, we want pixel art, and we want it to look like Monkey Island 2.
I think... I would agree with that. Or it's going to look like Monkey Island 3.
But, it'd look like Curse otherwise.
I do think pixel art is the... and I'm kind of curious as to why they didn't do that. I know why they didn't do that in 6, in Return, but I think you really hit the nail on the head there. They would do that. And I'm kind of disgusted with myself, and I'd be fine with that, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I like pixel art.
So I loved the look of... I wanted to call it... Twin Peaks, the Thimbleweed Park.
Thimbleweed Park, yeah. They had really nice art,
it looked great.
Yeah, I was like, I spoke in a episode from last year about playing Kathy Rain 2, and that had really lovely pixel art in it as well. It is it's a thing people associate with adventure games, rightly or wrongly. Yeah. And good pixel art can go a long way. And I think if you were Lucasfilm and you were playing it safe because you wanted a safe return on investment, it'd be like, oh, Monkey Island's back and it's got pixel art. Exactly. And then, that's a
Rich
big
pixels.
Marketing thing, and oh, wow,
Guybrush would look how he did in MI2, but a bit different.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit closer to the Curse kind of look and stuff like that.
They'd be married between there.
That's the thing about his design in Tales, how it was they said, we want him to look a bit like Curse. This was, Telltale got all these notes from Lucasfilm that was he needs to look a bit like Curse Guybrush because that's the recognisable one. Yeah. But he also needs to look a bit like LeChuck's Revenge Guybrush because we've got LeChuck's Revenge Special Edition coming out next year, and it was this big sort of
that's really
branding thing where
it's all going to be tied together.
Yeah, where it was we need these recognisable elements.
I think he's always going to have a blue jacket from now on. I think
I think so. It's going to be blue jacket and the big coif of hair on the top. Yeah.
And it's only going to be the hardcore fans that want a red jacket.
Bring back the escape outfits. Yeah.
Pixel art escape.
Yeah.
That will be the next special edition. I think people are crying out. This is another thing that they could do with the property. People want remastered Curse.
Yeah, which I am a little surprised that they haven't done. But
I wonder if it's tied up because they were able to get the Tim games done.
They'd have to get someone to do it. Is the thing they'd need, and there's because
Tim might be more invested in his own games.
Yeah, I mean he's not going to do it for a game that he didn't.
Yeah, not involved in.
No, they'd get a third party to do it.
Yeah, but I think I don't know. Would people get it? I don't know. There's this whole. You and I were also discussing this earlier about this retro games available on the Switch store.
Yeah.
Switch, being able to play GoldenEye now on your Switch,
Yeah, subscription to get emulation of old games and stuff.
So we a full screen Curse HD remake of remaster of Curse. Or, everything kind of lovingly redrawn and. Or just upscale.
Yeah, they have to. Which is a possibility of something they do. Do you have to rescan how much of the old artwork still exists? Is it still in an attic somewhere or something? Is it all in Larry Ahern's attic or something?
Bill Tiller's
face. Yeah, it's got him in all the backgrounds in a trunk somewhere or something.
Autumn Moon and Bill Tiller's company would be a company that would leap at the chance if they had raised the money to make MI7.
It's you need the money, and that's what it comes down to.
And I'm pretty sure he would love to be the Dave Filoni of MI.
Yeah,
the fan become head, figurehead of the whole thing.
It was funny. I was thinking about when he was talking about how his pitch for 4. He was hoping that he'd get to be the lead on Escape, and his idea was that Guybrush and Elaine had kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's kind of elements of stuff that ended up getting done in Return.
Interesting. That's nothing against Bill Tiller.
No.
Love him. Come on the show.
It's funny to imagine the world where Bill Tiller made Monkey Island 4.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what they do.
Yeah.
They'd get they'd get some. I don't want to use the word cheapo, but
affordable
developer. You know,
right.
That's why I'm thinking a European company, because they tend to be
someone who'll do it for the clout, just because, like a fan. We say.
Yeah.
It needs a fan to jumpstart.
Yeah, it'd be like, I don't know. I'm imagining like a Spanish company or like a German company or something like that. Yeah,
if we get some millennial guy into Disney who loves MI, and we're going to see Guybrush appear in the Pirates of the Caribbean rides all over the world.
Yeah.
I think that's what we need to see it happen. But otherwise, I think it's going to be on the back burner. For a good long while.
Yeah, I think it's like, I think we talked about this before. It's like, will Return be the last ever Monkey Island game? I mean, it wasn't, because there was that Sea of Thieves thing. But like, I don't think it will be, but I think it will. Yeah, it'll just be a while.
There are always wilderness years with Monkey Island.
Yeah, and with a lot of these properties, you just gotta. Monkey Island's just the one that's endured. Like, I'm wearing my Day of the Tentacle shirt at the moment. I don't expect them to ever make Maniac Mansion 3.
No.
I don't.
Because for whatever reason, MI is the popular one.
But it's like Sam & Max, for example, and obviously like that's in the hands of Steve Purcell, and like every so often someone comes to him and says, can we make another Sam & Max thing? And like Mike Stemley comes to him and says, can I make another Sam & Max? And he says, like the virtual reality game they made a few years ago and stuff like that. But that's exactly it, I think, is that someone has to approach the IP holder probably. And say
we assume it's just Disney. Right?
Yeah, it's probably not going to start with them.
No.
And like Return didn't. It was like Devolver approached Lucasfilm and said, can we make, Ron's on board, can we make Monkey Island 6,
Well, then you could see them approaching them again and say, can we make MI7?
Yeah.
But as you say, or a European company.
I just think, you'd get Devolver to be like the middleman again, I reckon. Just because they're like safe pair of hands for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is this what we want? Not necessarily, but I just think it's the most realistic.
We're not trying, it is cynical, but it's just the reality that we see it.
Yeah.
There are other ways to celebrate Monkey Island. It doesn't have to just be sweating on a new game.
No.
Because as Monkey Island fans, we're used to not having a new game.
Yeah, and like we said, HD Curse. Where are the action figures? Where are the Monkey Island action figures? Huge market for them, I'm sure.
Crying out for them. I want a voodoo doll.
Yeah, do a run of like 20. That's all the people that'll cater to all the people in the world who'll actually want them. Yeah.
They did voodoo dolls for Tales, but I think they were only available if you went to the booth at
at the convention or whatever. Yeah,
it's like, I would have bought that. It wasn't available.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. It's happened before. I have been wrong.
There was that little statue of that came out with Secret Special Edition.
Remember I saw Felicia Day had it, and I was like, I'm a bigger MI fan than Felicia Day. Sure. Well, what that brings us to, in some way, what would we do if you were given the keys to the Sea Monkey?
Yeah. Do you want me to go first?
Sure. We've kind of brainstormed over the last few months. What would we do with if we were given Monkey Island? Yeah,
I've been talking about this idea to you for a while. Yeah. This is a really stupid idea, but I don't know. This comes back to the kind of, it is along the lines of, you just do another adventure. You don't try to make it some big revelation about the series or anything like that. We've kind of, there's nowhere to go after Return with that kind of thing. You can't build on that further.
No.
You just got to, Return said Monkey Island can be anything, whether or not you like that interpretation.
Sure.
This is kind of what I'm building from. Monkey Island can be anything. They're all just stories that are told by different people. Some of them by Ron and co. Some by other people. So my idea that you've heard me talk about before is what I'm calling Monkey Island 7, the saga of Monkey Island, aka Guybrush Among the Vikings. So Anyone remember the Maelstrom ride from Epcot that was in the Norway Pavilion at Disney World? It's not there anymore. I think it's like a Frozen ride now or something.
We go on that in 1998?
Yeah, early 1998, where you got in like a longboat and it went backwards or something, and it was a pretty short ride, and it's barely even a ride. I think there was one little drop or something like that. But
I'm sure there's footage on YouTube.
Yeah. You got to see little figures of like, Scandinavian characters and folklore things and stuff. But I was my idea was like, so if Monkey Island's based on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, let's kind of take the Monkey Island concept. Let's take Guybrush and friends and just put them in like a slightly different setting.
Right.
Based again, but the theme park version of it. And not too different. So it's Viking, so there's still like ships and sword fights and islands and stuff like that. But it's in like a Viking themed environment. And it's the theme park version of Vikings.
It's Hagar the Horrible.
Hagar the Horrible, or like those old, Viking movies that they made in the 50s or whatever it is.
They got horns on the helmet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Guys with big beards, horns on their helmet. They're drinking mead instead of grog, They've got those big, long ships with the red and white stripy sail and the dragon, like, figurehead and round shields down the side.
Right, love it. And there's got to be a guy that wanted to be a mighty Viking.
Well, that's the thing, is like Guybrush
or he has to become a mighty
Guybrush is a mighty pirate, but he's like, I'm Guybrush Threepwood, mighty pirate. It's like, oh, you may be a mighty pirate, but are you a mighty Viking? Oh, I thought Vikings were pirates. It's like, and then it's like you don't even have a horned helmet and stuff. Like they would do that.
There's a lot to learn to become a mighty Viking.
You could do a lot of like really silly stuff with it like that.
That's a good idea.
I was kind of thinking of, and I can't believe it's like this is the point that we'd get to, but like, Peasant's Quest, the Homestar Runner guys made there. Like,
explain that.
yeah. So. If you listen to this, like you must have heard of Homestar Runner, right? Strong Bad Email. It was a big internet animated phenomenon in the 2000s. It is still going. They do release a couple of episodes or like shorts a year or whatever. They're not really episodes, but there were a lot of parodies of like 80s and 90s games and stuff in that. And one was Peasant's Quest that was meant to be like a parody of the Sierra games, obviously, and they did end up making a full game of it.
Yes.
And the thing you're told, you're like rather dashing the peasant who's meant to go and kill Trogdor the Burninator, the like dragon that lives on the mountain, but the knight who guards the entrance to the mountain says that only like it's some stupid thing like only peasants are allowed onto the mountain, and he's like you're not dressed like a peasant, you don't smell like a peasant, and you're not on fire like a peasant. Like, it's just like very stupid Homestar Runner humour. And I'm like imagining something like that. It's like you don't even have a horned helmet, you don't have a long ship, and you don't have, I don't know, like a big beard or something, or an axe or something. I don't know, it'd be something like that, and. Yeah, it's like obviously it's playing on the 3 trials and stuff.
Yeah,
but it's like none of it is taken very seriously. It's not meant to be this big, dramatic story about Guybrush's like lifelong battle with LeChuck and everything like that. It's just like Guybrush is in the theme park, but instead of in the pirate bit, he's wandered into the like Viking bit today. Or
maybe
like that.
A bit of Army of Darkness. He's trying to get back to his own time.
Yeah, maybe. Or like wants to get back to the Caribbean or something that. I'm like, I had this idea of like, if you do you have LeChuck? Do you have Elaine? It doesn't. Who cares? Kind of like,
I reckon because if he goes back in time, no.
Yeah, I'm kind of like
trying to get back to Elaine.
Yeah, and I was kind of like maybe if he did, you could have LeChuck. It doesn't, or it could be some other pirate that does like strands him on these islands. They're like the Faroe Islands or like Iceland or whatever. Sure. And he's like the Viking guy that you meet or whatever can be like, oh, how'd you end up here? Oh, I was like stranded by this guy. Oh, what are you going to do about it? What do you mean? I was like, well, you've got to get revenge on him, It's like that's because There's like a thing in a lot of these like Icelandic sagas and stuff is getting revenge, and they become very violent and so on. I can kind of see, like, I reckon Dave Grossman would be into this. I bet he likes an Icelandic saga or something like that. And it's like, oh, okay, like, you got to get... I feel like I'm kind of doing the Moby Dick thing again to an extent, but it's oh, yeah, you've got to get revenge in this, so this is like the Revenge of Guybrush, you know? Right, nice. But it's like...
Eric the Babe.
yeah, it would be something like that. Yeah,
you got to have a really dumb name.
Yeah, there'd be like people like LeChuck. You know, there'd be like stupid names like that. You could even have like the Viking version of LeChuck. Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Ghost Vikings.
Yeah,
and also fan service moments. Sorry to interrupt. Obviously, at some point you see the longboat from Stan, and he says, "This looks familiar."
Of course, you've got to have that. Yeah, I did think it's like we're building this whole thing purely on the idea of that longboat you can see as Stan's in Secret of Monkey Island. Stan could be in it. He could be wearing like a furry hat. I was imagining wearing one of those like Russian hats that doesn't quite fit into the setting. You know. Or it's Stan's ancestor. You do a bit of a Blackadder kind of thing. Yeah, I wasn't going for the back in time thing. Okay, no, I guess I'm with that. Which is fine, you know. You know, like the Back to the Future. Which also which works. Yeah, I think that could be funny actually. Like the characters, or just some of them. Yeah, all the other characters are kind of like variations on themselves from like the rather than just the main ones. But then I think Murray turns up. Oh yeah, just obviously. Have Murray. But he's just normal Murray. Yeah, he's just Murray. Murray can have a horned helmet on, I reckon. Yeah, I feel like that's the whole... If you walked into Disney with Murray with a horned helmet, like a concept art, they'd just throw money at it. So like, I think... The more I think about this idea, the more I want to see it. I think... And I came up with all these, like, you get very kind of, like, it's just this slight play on Monkey Island, like, it's like, instead of deep in the Caribbean, it's like deep in the North Sea or something, like this, like, generic location, you know, a real place, but none of the islands are real. Funny Viking names for islands, like Oath Island, Feud Island, Troll Island, it's like... Penn Island, obviously. Penn Island, obviously. Obviously. I'm leaving that in. The other thing, and this is kind of annoying, is that they did a court case that... I was about to say terrible court case puzzle in Tales. I don't want to be too mean about Tales, because I know some of our listeners really love Tales, but... another thing in those old Icelandic stories is court cases where it's like, you killed my brother and like I want compensation and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, you could do something like that, but Tales kind of already did it. You need a slick way to do it. Also, I feel like that stuff gets a bit too away from the childhood fun. Yeah, definitely. I think like we had those bureaucratic kind of puzzles in Return. Yeah. And it kind of got to a bit like, what am I doing? Why have I got paperwork? I deal with this in my real life, You know what the other thing I realise now, and I did think of this, and I've forgotten now, I've remembered it again, is that I'm clearly getting inspiration from Where in Time Has Come in San Diego. Yeah, there is. He goes and meets Eric the Red. One of the agents is sent back to the like Viking times. That's in the 90s remake of that. Yeah. Which was... like a hard adventure game. Yeah, like a fairly like basic educational point-and-click adventure game, and I think that's like around the colonization of like Vinland in North America or something like that. I don't know, or like attempted colonization. I did play through it like 100 times. Yeah, because it had that sign. It was one of those Curse clones. Yeah, similar art style and stuff. So I think in my head I'm kind of imposing like elements of Where in Time Has Come in San Diego onto this. The Vikings' Revenge. Yeah. And you could have... What was the other thing I was thinking of? You can have, like, hilarious jokes about, Viking stuff. Like, oh, I thought you didn't really have horns on your helmets. And like, oh, who told you that? Yeah, or like... Yeah, I was like, oh, that's like, that island's like, haunted by trolls. Oh, I thought like trolls were people who acted like jerks on the internet and stuff like that. It's like classic Monkey Island humour, Oh, no, you haven't you ever read a book, And it's like, I don't know. I don't really know where the story goes with this, but I was just thinking, you have like Guybrush has to prove that he's like a mighty Viking. You go on some big adventure to like lots of islands. You can have undead. There's always that's a thing in like those Viking stories and stuff.
It would be a funny moment to have him trying to do insult sword fighting, but then they have some other way of doing it.
You can play on that. There's some kind of spin on that. Maybe like the ship combat or something, like raiding. You have to like raid a monastery. You could do so, like, which is like obviously a really horrible thing in real life. But you could do some kind of like silly play on it in that. It's like, hilarious comedic Irish monastery that you've got to raid or something.
But you've got to steal something.
Yeah, you've got to steal something from the monastery or something like that. There's all sorts of opportunities for like, and you just play it very lightly.
Story-wise, you have to prove yourself to the head Viking.
Yeah.
And then, just before you do that,
something happens, which prevents it, of course, So
you're riffing on the secret idea, or they all kind of take a left turn like that, like the Chuckster range. But then something else happens, and you have to use the skills you learned at the beginning, to finish the game. Obviously, you'd have to work out the rest. Given millions of dollars to develop it.
You just have some kind of fun story, but I think you make it about revenge or something. You don't do Guybrush Saves the World. As I say, like Elaine and LeChuck don't need to be in it. And Monkey Island obviously doesn't appear. It's called The Saga of Monkey Island because that is like...
I like it.
Because the saga is like the Viking element, but it's a Monkey Island game. There's no Monkey Island, there's none of that actual stuff, but you're still Guybrush having a funny adventure, but just in like a different part of the theme park almost. Because you could kind of put Guybrush anywhere,
in a vintage setting. Is that a word? In an old-timey setting.
And I was thinking about how Ron said, like, the idea of, for example, Bermuda in Return. Again, regardless of what we may feel about how effective it was, like, that was kind of based on this idea that he'd said before of like Guybrush wakes up in the future in like post-apocalyptic Earth where it's all frozen. He wanted like a frozen island or something like that, and it's like you kind of build on that.
I think look at the other rides at Disney. What are the? We've got the Haunted Mansion. Space Mountain. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. We've got the Jungle Cruise.
I was thinking you could have like Cowboy Guybrush.
It doesn't necessarily have to be Guybrush's Adventures Through Time.
No.
I want to be a mighty cowboy. But I feel like the pirate fic thing is very limited.
There's not that much you can do unless you go the escape route and just use the pirate dressing to do something that's basically a different game or genre, but with like pirate trappings around it.
I think so. Nice. I like it. I'm excited by it.
Saga of Monkey Islands.
Coming summer.
Copyright Brothers White. 2026.
That's right.
You're not allowed to steal our idea. We want to cut.
We definitely want to cut. I feel like my idea is lame now.
Your idea is great.
As I was saying earlier, and I've got a few lead-up things. There are many ways to celebrate Monkey Island. So this is my idea for what you do with the next Monkey Island. So recently, there's been on social media a guy. I don't know if he's actually developed it. I think he has. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. His own Monkey Island fan game. But he's used AI elements. To create the. I had my idea before this came about, but it's interesting that it kind of came about at the same time. And
your idea has nothing to do with AI.
It has nothing to do with AI, but he's built a fan game. The Indistinguishable Candle, I believe it's called. Monkey Island, the Indistinguishable Candle.
Inextinguishable?
Inextinguishable?
I don't know.
It's something like that, isn't it? What do you do? You extinguish a candle? It's the
inextinguishable.
Anyway, my idea was, because Monkey Island is loved by 40-year-old dudes. You give the game back to the fans.
Yeah.
And you say, here is Monkey Island Maker.
Yeah.
Make your own Monkey Island games.
Yeah.
You've got a really nice, easy-to-use adventure game maker software package.
Yeah.
It's got kind of hard-coded into it Monkey Island.
Monkey Island environments, assets, that kind of thing.
You've got... graphics-wise, you've got palm trees. You've got 1,000 different ways to create a pirate. You've got a selection of 20 eye patches, 20 funny pirate hats, all different beards and stuff. You can nothing to do with AI.
Yeah,
you can.
these are all assets that have actually been designed by human beings. Yeah,
and maybe like the fans could contribute to that.
Yeah,
through some sort of vetting process. And then you can create your own game, whether they're small or large.
Yeah.
You build some easy to use kind of scripting language for it, or a graphics based one.
Yeah.
And you're able to, maybe with a vetting process, host your Monkey Island creations online.
Yeah.
Through some sort of server.
Yeah.
And then if you think, I want to play some Monkey Island, if people vote on it, what's the the latest kind of game that people have made? You can make kind of like a fun little one shot. I had this idea for a cool puzzle.
Yeah.
You could have people collaborating together to make their own MI games. But it's not that involved. It's more just like Ron did talk about wanting to do this, having kind of a level editor kind of thing. But this is kind of just a way of, you give it back to the fans, let them run with it. Let them create their own Monkey Island adventures, their own Guybrush adventures. Obviously you could make Elaine's adventure or Murray's adventure. You just make all of this different stuff. Because I think if you give people the tools, some people would just run with it. Because if you're not... And this is what brings me back to the guy who made the AI thing.
Yeah.
I'm not into the AI art, etc. But I do think it's cool making your own thing. And I like fan games.
We've talked about liking fan games. I don't really... I find using all AI generated assets I don't really like, but we don't want to have a big debate about that because it's such a...
but the idea of
thing.
But it is the idea
making
of
your own fan game is cool.
Yeah, and if you can be given the tools to make your own fan game, with and stripping away the AI. You could. I think people would really come up with some cool stuff.
Yeah.
And that would be a way to just kind of constantly celebrate Monkey Island. Maybe occasionally we get Ron or Dominic Almeida or someone to come and like play one, and you can watch an hour-long playthrough of one. Oh, that's a cool idea. Oh, I would have done this. Like I said, what I'm saying is like you can celebrate the series in other ways. Yeah. By not necessarily just having to make these kind of big, long, epic, lumpy things that take years of lead time.
Yeah, and huge amounts of money and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I guess it's kind of what people do online or on Reddit or something. People always find ways to celebrate their, in quotes, fandom.
Yeah.
But I think like giving people the option to create their own game, especially with, you can kind of let your imagination run free. Oh, what would I do? Create the dialogue trees, write out all the funny dialogue. Maybe it could help you. There'd be tools to help you. Yeah. And, I look at my own kids, especially my eldest son, he really loves the idea of building his own stuff. He wants to make his own Mario Brothers game. Yeah. And given the tools to do that, like you and I used to do with Click and Play, it would be cool.
Yeah, and obviously there is Mario Maker, it's sets the sort of precedent for that, and that's you can have different... You can base the visuals and stuff on different games from the series and that kind of thing. You could do that with this. It's do you want the classic verbs and inventory interface, or do you want curse style interface or something? And stuff like that.
You have all those options.
You have different eras represented with the art and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Do you have kind of the classic? You have, I don't know, Guybrush, Elaine, LeChuck, Voodoo Lady Stan, Wally, stuff like that, Murray, that kind of thing. Yeah. And then, do you have, assets of, existing locations from this from the existing games.
If you want,
maybe,
or you have,
or you can make new ones.
Have new ones. You can import your own art. I don't know, or you can, as I say, you've got 60 different palm trees to pick from. You got all the sand and the sky color. Or it'll take all the, if you can click a button if you want to do it rapidly, and it'll generate. It'll take random bits for you, and you say, I want a seascape that looks like this, and it'll pick this palm tree and this shrub and this sand, and it'll put them all together and say, there you go, there's your beach. I mean, you don't want to take away too much creativity and work from the user.
No,
but I think it'd be cool to let people's imaginations run wild. And I think you'd probably get some kind of fun, short and long games out of that.
Yeah, I think so. I think, like, we've always talked about wanting an easier tool for making adventure games. Like, we talked about finding AGS a bit baffling and stuff like that. You
and I are quite high level minded.
We're not. I'm not like a programmer or anything
we're
like
not
that.
In the engine.
Not really. Not really in my wheelhouse. I think that would be really cool. It's the kind of thing we would have wanted as kids, right?
Yeah, basically.
And I think it would be a really fun way to celebrate the series.
Yes.
And it's like what Dave said, and I've said this before, it's like in that documentary, he's like, this belongs to you now. It's like they were trying to kind of give Monkey Island back to the fans.
Yeah.
Like, well, this is one way of doing it.
Give it to us then.
Yeah, make your own Monkey Island. Yeah.
So that's my idea. Like, it's a bit, out of left field, but
I think it's a fantastic idea. I think they should do it.
Or we could use it to build our Viking game.
Yeah. Guybrush among the Vikings. Yeah.
So I think that's probably a good place to leave it.
Yeah. These are some options for the future of Monkey Island.
Yeah. What we think would happen. What would probably be happening.
Yeah.
What we'd do.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Tell us in the comments.
Below. Yeah. And until next time.
Look! A three-headed monkey!